right, and then for those of you that don't know, I'm Logan Noel. I'm a senior here at Marthline Collins, and this is my Persuasive 2 speech. So have you ever heard of Sir Robert Bryson II? He sounds like he's maybe wealthy or a person of royalty. He's actually somebody who grew up in poverty. The name that he is more well known for is Logic. He's an American rapper, singer, and songwriter, and I'm here to tell you why I think he's one of the best rappers or artists in today's time. I think one of the reasons that his albums are so great is that they carry meanings. They tell stories, and within those stories, they tell even more stories. And one of his biggest things that his...
Leave out. Go. Bye. See. Let's sit out there. I don't want your study pocket Thursday either. Take the 0. Continue.
One of the biggest things with him is that his past plays a big role in all of his music and all of his, morals. And I think one of the best things about that is that it sets him apart from some other rappers and artists who say that they have troubled past, but they don't actually have a troubled past. Let's start with his albums. I think one of the biggest things about his albums, like I said before, is the stories that it tells. His most recent albums, it follows the story of two men named Kai and Thomas, and they're accompanied by a computer named Thalia. This takes place 100 years from present day, where Earth is uninhabitable because we use up all of its resources. All of mankind is down to like 2 million, and they're all out in the galaxy looking for another Earth or another planet that can sustain life. And I'm not going to spoil too much, but it just goes over them, and the album itself is these two people listening to Logic's music from 100 years in the past. His album, one of his newer albums called Everybody, has another side story, and it follows a man named Adam who died in a car crash, and it goes over him meeting God. And once again, I'm not going to spoil too much, but it just goes over his whole interaction with God and how his talk goes and what he finds out. So like I said before, not only are these stories important, but even his individual songs tell stories. One of the bigger ones is Anxiety and 1-800-273-8255, which is the suicide hotline number. And Anxiety, it starts off very peaceful, very calm. It says that everything is beautiful, everything is wonderful, but then out of nowhere it becomes very intense and the bass is very large. And what he's trying to say here is that is anxiety. While he was making this album, he did suffer from anxiety and says what it was like. He said that he was standing outside of a movie theater and out of nowhere he just got scared, everything just got tense, he didn't know what to do, and that's what is shown in the music. In the 1-800 song, it's about suicide and being depressed. At the very beginning, he is somebody who is struggling with suicidal thoughts, and at the very end, he becomes somebody who is not struggling. And because of that, there's another artist in the song, and she's singing about how, I'm here for you and all that, and at the very end, that's when he realizes that he wants to live and that he's no longer suicidal. Now, I'm going to move on to his past, because that's where a lot of his music comes from. And I think that his past is more trouble than most artists. He was born to a black man and a racist white mom, and that already just spells trouble. And he struggled with being identified as black or white. He says that white people would tell him, don't identify as black, and black people would say, don't identify as white. He said that's something that was really big in his past when he was in high school and middle school. Both of his parents suffered from addiction to drugs. His dad was addicted to cocaine, and his mom was addicted to alcohol. He said that, not that he's done it, but he said that he could manufacture and distribute cocaine on a wide scale. He said that's because his dad forced most of his brothers and some of his sisters to sell cocaine to the neighborhood. And that led to one of his sisters being raped, and that's something that he had to deal with. Also, he witnessed his mom being beat by his dad on a daily basis, and that's just something that he takes with him, and he always uses that. He always says you need to treat women with respect. And I feel like this is what separates him from other artists. Some other artists that you all probably know is Drake. Drake talks all the time about how difficult his past is, but in actuality, I don't think it was as difficult as he wants it to seem. He was born in Canada, and his parents divorced at a young age, and although he was not very wealthy, he was in poverty. I don't think it was as bad as Logic. But also, Drake got his start in a TV show called Degrassi as a man who was shot and put into a wheelchair. He didn't really struggle with much. He started as a rapper, that's where he got his money, and then he became an artist. Or he started off with an actor, and then he got his money, and then he became an artist. I think that's something that's really important about Logic, is that he actually struggled, and he started from absolutely nothing, started from just selling mixtapes to where he is now. And also, one thing about Logic and his morals is that he's not somebody who enjoys to flex or show off his money. He says this every now and then in his songs, but one of the biggest songs that he says is in is 44 More. And that's where he's saying that he doesn't want to flex to be acknowledged, which I feel like is almost a diss on other artists and other rappers nowadays, is that they're all out here spending as much money as they can, having the biggest house they can, having the nicest car, just so people look at them and say, like, I want that. But he doesn't do that. If you even see his house, it's a nice house, but it doesn't seem like he's showing off too much. And one of the things that he cares about is family a lot. He states that every single time he can. And although him and his wife are just recently separated, he still says that he loves her a lot, they care for each other, and still going to work together, but they're more of a business relationship now. And that is why I think that he's one of the best rappers that I know of. I think that he's different from other rappers, and I think that the albums tell stories. And I think that not only because the albums tell stories, but because of what his past was and how that created his albums is why they carry such an impact, I guess. And he continues to prove that he's better than other artists by releasing songs and albums back to back. He says that he's the only artist that releases albums back to back to back. I think that's one of the best things about him is that he is constantly working. He's not somebody who just decides one day, all right, I'm going to work on an album, and then 2 months later releases an album. He is constantly working on new music. I think that is all you need to know about Sir Robert Bryson II to really gain an interest in his music.